Thiel, CEO of Mara Digital Holdings, also known as Mara on the stock exchange. Welcome to Real Vision. It is such an honor to have you finally on the platforms of Real Vision. How are you today?
I am awesome, thank you. Really appreciate being on.
Of course. Now, Fred, you are so well known across in this community of ours. So tell us a little bit about, just who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm CEO of Marathon Digital Holdings since April of this year. I've been on the board of the company since 2018. Been in the technology industry for 40 years. Started writing software for banks when I lived in London way back in the late 70s. Have worked across almost every sector of the industry. Was very involved in deploying initially Ethernet technology early when PCs were first released. Helped build out some of the infrastructure for the internet back in the late 90s. Took a company public that was one of the first enablers of controlling devices over the internet. So the earliest part of the IoT world, if you would. And then was in digital games media, ad tech, storage. Ran a private equity fund that invested in software companies, transitioning them from perpetual licenses to SaaS companies. And have been an advisor and on the boards of many private equity and venture-backed companies ever since. And got involved in Marathon really because of a friend who I'd known for 20 years, became CEO of what was then called Marathon Patent Group. And he was charged with taking them into the future. And so he asked me to join the board in 2018. And together we worked out the strategy for really becoming what we are today, which is, one of the largest miners in the world.
Great. So Fred, I do want to ask you, someone with obviously the finance background, the tech background, and 4 decades of just a good track record of building. Now, in the world of mining, which is all based on the focus of building, what is different this time round in building a company like Marathon Digital Holdings? Because you are, I would say, starting from the ground zero again, despite having 4 decades of building, because, I sort of look at this space and, once you're in it, it's a million miles per hour. Is that how you feel, even since just, I guess, running the place since April?
Yeah, this is a unique industry, to your point. We manufacture the product that is the exact same as everybody else's. If you put it in a traditional context, when you think about Bitcoin mining, we're running data centers, we're processing transactions that ensure the security of the blockchain and the validity of the data on the blockchain. But we don't have sales teams out selling. We don't have a pipeline of sales because we just mine millions and millions of transactions, and we're rewarded from the blockchain in Bitcoin for that. So it's different than most tech companies where you're really focused on winning logos and growing. And again, this is something more unique to us than some of our peers because we're not in the third-party hosting business. So we're not out trying to convince people to host with us. We actually partner with large power companies and others and help them really utilize their excess power to be in the mining business. And then we bring our miners and our miner expertise to that party. So it's a very different model. You're making a product where you can't differentiate your product. You don't have salespeople. It's really focused, to your point, on execution of growth. How do you source miners? How do you source power, places to host them? How do you operate them at maximum efficiency? And then on top of it, we hold all our Bitcoin. We don't sell our Bitcoin.
Wow. Long time big holders, I guess.
Absolutely. And, it's so much, we believe so much in Bitcoin that in late January of this year, we had a lot of cash on our balance sheet. And, Michael Saylor famously had started talking about, companies should put money where their mouths are regarding Bitcoin, and crypto is a much better investment. So we went in the market and actually bought $150 million of Bitcoin with our cash at an average price of around $31,000. And obviously, with Bitcoin just crossing 60,000 this morning, that has been an excellent investment for us. And all of the Bitcoin that we mine, we hold. Today, we hold over 7,000 Bitcoin in our balance sheet. And we really believe long-term in the value of Bitcoin and are very optimistic about what the regulatory framework in the US is going to be. So we're really looking forward to balance of this year and next year to see how that matures and this becomes a real regulated, in a good way, industry.
What are your thoughts on that? That, some of the biggest mining companies like yourself is on the grounds of America now.
Yeah, it's very exciting, not just from a perspective of the fact that the U.S. is taking a lead position here, but if you think back, 6 months, a year, China had the majority of the Bitcoin mining network operating within its borders, and there was always fear within the Bitcoin community and outside of it, frankly, that the 51% attack, as it's typically called, which would be the only way that you could effectively game the Bitcoin network, could be possible if China really wanted to. And by simply prohibiting Bitcoin mining and going to the extent that they are today with controlling their currency and capital flows, has given the Bitcoin network the opportunity to exhibit two of its most amazing traits. One is no nation state can control it. There was not a single hiccup between the 40 to 60% of the global hash rate that was within the borders of China being shut down. It just automatically transitioned to all the other mining facilities around the world. That is one of the key attributes of Bitcoin and how it operates, in that it is impervious to government control in that sense. The other thing is that it really gave the US, I believe, and we'll see this play out more over time here, the opportunity to, now that that risk is gone, let's really start backing Bitcoin. And you've seen major corporations, major financial institutions now feel that that risk of international potential control and manipulation is gone. And as I think there was an article in the FT here this week that clearly laid out the numbers, the US is now arguably 35% of the global hash rate.
Yes, I read that, and that was all the headlines in the news industry this week.
Yeah, and so I don't think we'll see the U.S. being over 50%. Nobody wants that in the industry, but I think 30 to 40% in the U.S. would represent the U.S.'s pro rata share, if you would, of the opportunity. And there would be many more opportunities in Europe, for example, if they didn't have an energy issue, which they're going through today. But Africa, for example, is the perfect area of the world for Bitcoin mining when you think about it. They have access to hugely inexpensive energy if they want to. Look at Nigeria as a country, oil producer. Think about solar energy in North Africa, in the Sahara. It's bone dry. It's hot, yes, but perfect for Bitcoin mining. All of these areas of the world where it doesn't make sense to deploy renewable energy today because there aren't consumers. Bitcoin is the perfect reason for countries to deploy renewable energy because we're a single stop customer. We can operate on the grounds of the power generating facility. So you don't need transmission lines. You don't need to build a grid infrastructure. And then once that power is established, they can then also sell excess power to consumers. And so we become a motivation for governments, for countries, for energy companies to deploy more and more renewable energy. And if you look at the percentage of energy that is
Fred,
renewable.
let me jump in there because I know energy is your thing at the moment. And I know, by the way, is that called to Elon Musk? Has he finally got back to you? Elon, if you're watching on Real Vision, this is the pitch for you to come on a panel to talk with Fred.
Hey, if you like this clip, be sure to like and subscribe for more crypto-related content. Also, be sure to check out the full interview and more only on realvision.com/crypto.